y'all, I'm Carol. Welcome to my Creating Corner. I'm so glad you're here. Please click subscribe if you haven't already so you can find your way back very easily. Today we're going to be making this adorable pub-inspired card. It looks pretty complicated, but it is just easy peasy. I love this set. This is using the Whiskey Business stamp set. And of course we'll be using the decanter and the old-fashioned glass, as well as these three sentiments. Straight up, you're the best, and being a dad is whiskey business are awesome too. But we're going to be using your top shelf. Cheers to you, and sending you an old-fashioned birthday card. Let me put those to the side. What else? What else? We'll be using rectangle stitched Framelit dies. This little piece right here. Get that out and put it on my cutting machine. And we'll be using the Brick and Mortar 3D embossing folder. Love this embossing folder, especially since it has the line to make sure you don't get crooked bricks. Let's put this right here. What else? I'm going to be using a little bit of Wink of Stella. I'm going to be using some Crystal Effects. I'm going to keep that right there because I'm going to need it. Of course, a little bit of twine. For this nail right here, I'm going to use a pearl embellishment, and I'm going to color it with one of my Stampin' Blend markers. I'm going to be using the Cinnamon Cider Stampin' Blends, Gray Granite, Early Espresso, and Sahara Sand inks. And for the papers, I will need my typical 8 by 5.5 card base, which is scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to need a 1.75 by 3 inch panel from the In Good Taste Designer Series paper set. I'm going to need a healthy size scrap of Whisper White for my decanter and my glass, some Sahara Sand for my sign, and then a 5 1/4 by 4 Early Espresso panel, as well as a 5 by 3.75 Whisper White panel. Okay, let's get going here. The first thing that we want to do is to stamp the decanter and the glass. That way we can do our little treatment to it and let it dry while we create the rest of our card. So, let me move my card over here, out of the way. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in Gray Granite, I'm going to stamp my decanter. Tap, tap, tap. Remember, we don't push and smush. Let's do it down one time, make sure it's all inked up. I'm going to need some more ink there, so let's ink it. Make sure this time it's inked up. Perfect. Tap, tap, tap. Straight down, do not wiggle. And then up. And now the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Let's get a little bit darker. There we go. Tap, tap, tap. Straight down, do not wiggle. Lift, and perfect. I'm not going to need the Gray Granite again, so I'm going to close it and put it to the side. Now, on the decanter, when you're looking at nice, rich, cut glass decanters, you have the cut glass, and usually the stopper lid is a heavy piece of cut glass. To give it that look, we're going to use some Crystal Effects. Now, if you don't have any shimmery Crystal Effects left from last year, you can use the fine tip glue pen. Any glue that will dry clear and hard, not your multi-purpose liquid glue. Do not use that. But any glue that will dry clear and hard will probably work fine. So But with the crystal effects, I'm going to highlight everything that I want looking especially thick and cut crystally. So that's going to be these pieces. I'm going to highlight the edges of my decanter. I'm of course going to highlight these cut glass facets in the decanter. You want to make sure that we see the cut glass, right? And of course all this down here is just a nice thick glass base. Yep. Get it all done. Stuff gets pretty thick. Now, I like using this shimmery crystal effects, but one thing you have to be careful about when you're done with it, you have to make sure to like pop it down so that the material doesn't stay up in the point. It's getting kind of old. It's getting kind of hard to push out. Of course, we want to make our ice shiny. Okay, well that was interesting what just happened, but that's okay. So I'm just highlighting my ice cubes in the glass. Want to give it a little bit of a water look, so there we go. There we are. Now, here's the thing when you're using a material like this. You have to tap it, tap it, tap it to get it, all the material out of the nozzle, out of the little spout there. There we go. And I'm going to just put this aside to, I'm going to actually put a little bit more on here. Put a little bit more on this stopper. Nice thick glass stopper. There we go. There we are. Tap, tap, tap. Get the material out of the spout. There we are. Now we're going to sit this aside while we work on the rest of the card. Let me put it somewhere safe. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 5 by 3.75 panel, and I'm going to emboss it with my brick and mortar embossing folder. Now we have to make sure that we get it the right direction. It's a brick wall. We need to make sure the bricks are going the right way. So we want it up and down, vertical, and Stampin' Up! Is awesome. It gives you this line on your embossing folder to make sure that your embossing comes straight. So there we go, we press it in, make sure you don't move it, and take it to your embossing machine. Okay, and then it comes out looking like this. Well, it's not a very easy to see brick pattern. I mean, well, you can see it's brick, but we want to accent it a little bit. That's where our Sahara Sand comes in. Don't you love going to those buildings that have been repurposed, the old warehouses and that have been repurposed where you have the brick walls that are just kind of old paint. So that's what this kind of looks like. So we're just going to lightly accent. If you use, you know, like just a light hand, and it pulls out the design, kind of accents all those bricks that were hiding before, these in the background. Of course, the ones that are more dynamically embossed took your attention. But you don't have to worry too much about getting the bottom because you're going to be covering that, but I like to make it all the same anyway. Okay, now you can see nicely the complete brick wall background. And that's it for using our Sahara Sand. So we can put that away. Okay. Next up, we're going to work on our powder embossing. So, let me, oh, what did I do with my, there it is. So with my Sahara Sand scrap, yeah, this is crumb cake right here, but I'm going to use Sahara Sand on the card that we're doing together. I'm going to take my Cheers to You, and before I do anything, I'm going to go ahead and hit this with my Stampin' Buddy, my embossing buddy. It's just some powder. It makes your embossing a little cleaner. If the powder goes somewhere you don't want it, it won't really stick as easily. So while I have my embossing buddy out, I should go ahead and do my wood panel. There we go. Now, we'll start out with Cheers to You. With the Versamark. Now we're not going to push way in. We're going to tap, tap, tap. And you do need to give it room because we're going to be cutting it out with a die. So I'm going to come down a little bit and in a little bit. Cheers to You. Now before I use my powder, I'm going to close my Versamark. Now let's see how this turned out. Yep, completely covered. Let's put it to the side so it doesn't get messed up, marked up, while I do my Your Top Shelf. I'm going to put that down here on the wider plank. Now remember, I've already hit this with the embossing buddy. Cheers to You with my Versamark. Oops, no, no, no. Phew! That could have been bad. I want to do Your Top Shelf. There we go. Your Top Shelf. Tap, 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 tap. And right in the middle. Close that. Get it out of the way. There we go. Now, let's see how that turned out. Okay. I love doing the powder embossing because then when you get the heat going and it all just melts in and you see the words come to life, it's great. But before you turn on your heat gun, cover up your powder. You don't want to accidentally get it with the heat gun. That would be a mess. So, with the embossing gun, let's see it come to life. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Now let's do the Cheers to You. Beautiful. I just love how it looks when it just melts in and you see the words just pop out. I love it. Okay. Now, this is still a little bit melted. We're going to let it cool off. While it cools off, before we cut it, is a good time to attach our wood panel. to the brick wall. So here you've got your table that's up against the brick, and I'm just using some multi-purpose glue for that. Oops. It's not coming out. Uh-oh. Probably, there we go, that'll do. That'll do, boo. Okay. Right along the bottom. There we go. Now, I got some glue. Oopsie. I got some glue here. So I'm just going to take this scrap paper that I had sitting right here, and I am going to just kind of cover it up. There we go. So now I'm working good. Alrighty. I've got that attached to my brick background. Now I'm going to take my Cheers to You to my die cutting machine, and I'm going to cut this out. And I'll do that right here. There we go. Yes, I probably should get some new plates. Easy. This out of the way. Alright. And I'm going to slide my die right back into the package so I don't misplace it. Put it there. Okay. Now before, well, we can go ahead and attach this. I'm going to use this other glue. This is a new one. So now I'm going to glue my decorated panel to my Early Espresso panel, but I'm not putting it on my card base yet. No. Let's get that glued down. There we go. Alrighty. Now before I attach it to the card base, I want to do my stamping inside. Just in case there's an oops, I don't have the fully created card that I have to deal with. I can just do a new background. So, where is my Early Espresso ink? Here we go. Inside I'm going to put sending you an old-fashioned birthday card. Of course, because it's an old-fashioned glass. Okay. Now remember, I've got this paper under here. So I have to make sure that when I'm stamping, I'm not crossing a crease. As thin as that is, it will make a difference in my stamped image. Okay? So, just carefully straight down, no wiggle, and up. There we go. That's good. Let's get the ink pad out of the way. We'll get this put aside. Okay, now we are ready to deal with the rest of our card. Let's come back and get our decanter and our glass. It's dry. I guess we could have cut it out before. I like to use these Stampin' snips. They are awesome. Your fingers fit in perfectly. The weight is really good. And can you see how sharp that tip and that point is? It really makes fussy cutting easy for people that don't like to fussy cut. So I'm just going to cut these out. Yeah, probably should have done that before I put the crystal effects on, but I was just excited. Okay. Notice when you're cutting, it's really the paper that you're moving, that you're turning, not your scissors. That out. Oh, I haven't played here in my creating corner in so long. This feels so good to sit here and just make something pretty. Pretty cute. There we go. All right. Now, this is going to be bourbon. I think this cinnamon cider really shows up nicely. It's a good color match. While I have these out, I'm going to take my dark one and I'm going to color in one of my big pearls. See, it kind of gives it a bronzy coppery look. I like it. I like it. Okay, now this actually feels a little tacky at the top. I'm going to hit it with the heat gun. You can't really color it very easily when it's tacky. Okay, so I'm going to start out with my light cinnamon cider. This is one of the new in colors. I really like these new in colors. So I'm going to pretend that this is a very thick crystal base, so I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom. And when you come across where the crystal effects, or if you used glue, it is going to give it a little bit of a different effect. Kind of like the light shining through and glistening. Okay, oops. Uh-oh, bottom on that one is wet. I'm just going to wait before doing that. I'm going to wait before finishing that one. So I've got this one done. Let me add, oh, what happened? Come on. Because I put it so thick, that's why. Now I'm going to highlight just a little bit with my, maybe I should use the brush side. Just going to highlight it along the edges here, along the bottom. It might be a little bit darker. Ahead and see what happens. Try to not get on too much of that. There we go. That's working. That's fine. Just a little bit of accent there along the bottom. Okay. Yay! Done. Done. Let's look at the sign. So I've got my sign and I have my front. I'm going to put this, I'm just going to place it where I want it. Okay, we're just going to place it where we want it. to see where we want the sign. Okay, now I see that I'm going to want my sign lined up at the top of that brick, or maybe just a hair down below that brick. Perfect. Whoops. Which brick was that again? Okay. So, I'm going to take my dimensionals. I'm going to put the dimensionals on the back here. Let's give it one in the middle too. And taking a look at my twine, how big of a piece do I need? From there, I just need a little bit popping up, right? I just need a little bit up, so that really should be enough. Okay, I'm going to come in a little bit more from the edge there. Yep, that's good. Snip. Now we're going to put this here. And my colored pearl, let me pull that loose. Let me pull that up and sit it there so we kind of have a little look. You know what? I think I might need to take a glue dot. These are some glue dots from Paper Pumpkins. I think I might put a glue dot right here. Whoops. Maybe not. Okay. Let's see about the glue dot right there too. Yeah, just to hold that twine down a little bit better. Alrighty, now let's go ahead and get some dimensionals on the back of my decanter and glass. I like to use a lot of dimensionals. I mean, you get a lot of them for just a couple of bucks, so be careful that you don't have it showing. Go. There we are. And get it down. Get some on the back of the glass. Whoops. Get the glass down. And now let's just go ahead and attach this to our card base and we have it done. Some glue here. Sometimes I use the adhesive runners, but you know, when you have the wet glue, it does give you a minute to change things, to move things around. So there we go. I don't think I left anything off. You see how quickly it came together? Yes! There we go. Cheers to you. You're top shelf. Sending you an old-fashioned birthday card. Absolutely adorable. Who are you going to make this card for? Well, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to help you get your materials to create this adorable card. Just visit my 24/7 online store, Creating with Carole, that's Carole with an E, creatingwithcarole.stampinup.net. And I can help you get anything on here. Just awesome, just awesome. So if you like my card, I'd appreciate it if you would give my video here a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and until next time, keep making the world a beautiful place. Bye!